Hope you're all having a great day. Welcome. This is the second part of our conversation today. I was actually playing a little Guardians of the Galaxy. Hold on a second here. I have the TV playing some stuff here behind me here. Can you hear me okay? That's actually a pretty good way to test everything right now. Can you hear me okay? Okay, grooving. I'm a one-man operation here running some stuff right now. But welcome. I thought it would be a good time for us to get caught up on stuff because I've been traveling like crazy. I went to Star Wars Celebration, and then I got to spend some time with my family at Disney World and Universal theme parks and had a blast. While I was at Universal theme park, the Fast and the Furious franchise was very, very hyped up, and obviously Fate of the Furious, I think that's the name of it. The 8th Fast and the Furious movie came out, and I didn't get a chance to see the critic screening, but I have gone back, and I when I got back to Vancouver, I made it a point to get out there to go and see it, and I called my buddy Johnny Millennium from Happy Console Gamer, and he came out with me, and my plan was, and I went to see it I think last Thursday. My plan was to get back and stream it live, but when I got back, there was some technology was not playing nice with me, and I just couldn't do it, and I couldn't figure it all out in time to do it, and then it was already too late in the day. So I've been sitting on my thoughts and my opinions on the Fast and the Furious thing. But the first thing that we're going to do, I'm going to talk about that. We also saw T2, Trainspotting. I saw that with my wife. We had a great, a nice date movie, a nice date night, and we went out and saw that movie together, which was great. And Johnny actually saw that with his wife as well. And so we've been chatting a little bit back and forth. And I'm kind of sad that he's not here because those two movies we could have a nice dialogue about right now. But the other movie that I just watched is the first Guardians of the Galaxy. I loaded up the Blu-ray because the sequel is out this week, and I'm going to go and see that tomorrow with Johnny, who is my movie wife, I guess, is the way that we're going to clarify him. But I can't wait to see that. So I watched the movie, and then I put a little bit of the Telltale game, which I just streamed. So some of you were there for that stream, and you've joined me here, and I've got chat popped up right here. First of all, thumbs up if you can hear me okay. And do I sound all right? And does the stream look okay? Is everything okay? These are Michelle Rodriguez's beautiful eyes behind me. She's just staring, just glaring at me right now. Like, get on with it, dude. Say something. Okay. Okay, so Patrick Furtado, Luis Diaz, Fred Wicks, Majestic Bones, Burton Pierre, Nate Slayer 22, Fail Cube, I saw you there. We did see that's my friend from. Tell me your real name, Fail Cube. My memory is failing because I can't remember what your screen name. It's Rob. Sorry, Rob Keys from Screen Rant was there. That's right. I'm trying to connect all these dots. I know people through screen names and real names and other journalists and stuff like that. But that's cool that you're here, Rob. That's awesome. Taz, Sibieski, Stephanie R. I sound great. Thank you so much, Stephanie. That's awesome. I'm still coming over my cold a little bit. I'm still getting over it. So I have the vestiges of stuff in my head that I don't want in my head, if you know what I'm talking about. I don't want to use the word snot. Snot. I said it's snot. Now I can't stop saying it's snot. Okay. I got a lot of that. It's been brutal getting rid of that, and I apologize to Blake, first of all, if he happens to be listening to this stream right now, just to sort of measure it, make sure it sounds okay. He's not in the studio with me, basement, but he's had to listen to me do some terribly disgusting things as I've been prepping to, get into the rundown, because you have to expel some of this stuff before you can, verbalize and vocalize the dialogue that you're given, and sometimes it's not, it doesn't play nice with you. It doesn't, cooperate with you at all. And anyways, without getting too gnarly, Blake's had to hear some terrible things, and I apologize to you, Blake. This episode of Vic's Basement dedicated to you, buddy. Audio is all good. Hi there. It's not confusing. Reeve Thompson. Oh my God. I don't have a take on Guardians 2. This is the precursor to that. We will have a Guardians 2 conversation. We will actually have a full review on the run on Thursday. because we are seeing it tomorrow. And so Johnny Millennium and myself will be going off to go and see that, and I cannot wait. I'm super excited. It is fantastic to have you all here with us, and if you are watching this later, thank you so much. If you are listening to this later, thank you so much. And that's a little cheeky hint about what is about to happen, and it's too soon for me to, maybe not. Maybe I will reveal. You know what? The hell with it. I'm gonna reveal what's going on. We're redesigning the EPN.TV website. It has become too big of a deal for us to manage, and it's a big gnarly beast of a website that is based on us having lots of different people and different disciplines in production to manage and maintain, including webmasters and stuff. And over the last year, I've been trying to figure out what to do with it. And we have got a new design for the site, and it will go live very soon. But one of the cool things, and I'm very happy with it, by the way, and I can't wait to hear your feedback. And I can't wait to tell you how the idea for all of it, how this all came together when the site is live. There's no point talking about it until it's there. And of course, I want your honest feedback when it's there. And if there are things to improve, we will improve them. But the main thing is that it will be simpler for us to deal with. But we are also going to deliver the podcast, including this episode, in audio form again, because I get that comment a lot. They want to be able to stream it off of iTunes or Google Play or various other podcast sources out there. And very soon, all of that stuff will be there, including every episode of Vic's Basement going back to the very first one. It will all be available for you. And there is a lot of great stuff in there. We've done a lot of really cool things with Vic's Basement. It hasn't just been me ranting and raving and talking about movies or crying about Mass Effect. But I do love where we're headed with all this. I haven't started to have like a constant sort of stream of guests, whether they are on Skype or whether they're joining me here in the basement. But that I want to kickstart and get going again, because it's not the actual kickstart. I want to get going with all that stuff because I miss those conversations. And in fact, I think I'm going to have a very cool, I have to confirm him, but I think I'm going to have a very fun guest on Friday, and we're going to have some cool stuff to announce that's separate from the website then. But let's get started with talking about these movies, shall we? And the one thing that I just kind of realized, because I'm going to be talking about Trainspotting 2, the Fast and the Furious 8. They made 8 of them, okay? We just want to just be clear about that. They made 8 Fast and the Furious movies so far, and there are 2 more to come. And then I'm going to be talking a little bit about the first Guardians of the Galaxy, and also just my sort of early impressions about the Telltale Guardians game. And I've got some stuff to show off, including Samurai Spider-Man, some weird stuff that I accumulated in the last couple of weeks. But I'm going to try to keep the pace going here so it's not streaming forever. You know what I'm saying? Okay, let's talk about Fast and the Furious 8. I'm going to run some footage behind me. These are just the trailers streaming and stuff like that. I actually kind of need these trailers. This is like early days stuff. They're kind of showcasing the team, I think. They're showing how far Fast and the Furious has come. And you know what? That is kind of true. Like, who would have guessed that this franchise that launched with like the street racing subculture and also propelled, I think in some ways, by the video game industry, like Need for Speed Underground and stuff like that, would sort of move from this sort of cool subculture kind of space where maybe some people that do some street racing at night and stuff, and they have some tricked out cars and they dig it and it's kind of like hip. And to the point where in Fast 8, these are like the baddest. They're superheroes. They're like a super team, like they're Avengers, and their powers are their vehicles and what they can do with all of these things. And of course, in this movie, obviously we heard a lot about the friction between The Rock and Vin Diesel, offset. The Rock's famous Instagram outing of some of the sort of set etiquette that was going on. I think that was maybe manufactured. I think to create this, this aura of mystique and drama that was going to draw people to this movie a little bit more. I think it was kind of marketing, and certainly I wouldn't put it past Vin Diesel or The Rock to be. They're pretty smart dudes. movies. They know exactly how to play the media and how to play this game very well, so that all the eyes and attention are on them. And obviously this thing is a breakout smash success. It's a huge frickin' movie. I think it surpassed The Force Awakens in its opening weekend as a global release, which shocked the hell out of me. I'm sure it shocked the hell out of some of you as well. It doesn't do quite as well as Star Wars does domestically. It's more of an international franchise. And I kind of have to respect the bombacity of this thing, just the out of control sort of like we're going to take over the world qualities of the Fast and the Furious franchise, because it entertains so many people. And it is definitely one of those movies where you switch off your brain, and I mean, they're playing with as much money as you can get without taking off into space, to create these stunt sequences and to show off these different, city skylines and stuff. And you do travel all over the world. There's some interesting stuff at the beginning of the movie in Cuba. They've got amazing actors like Charlize Theron in this thing. It's kind of like a who's who of future actors that will eventually become Expendables. It's kind of like pre-Expendables, a lot of this stuff. But I didn't hate this movie. You just can't think. It's one of these flicks where it's like, okay, these guys are badass drivers, but how are they going to stop these nukes from going off? Okay, let's go with it. The big deal with Kurt Russell's in this thing. The big deal, of course, is that Vin Diesel's character, and forgive me, I know none of their names, okay? I know maybe some of the actor names, but I don't know any of the character names. I've seen a lot of these movies, too. I think I've seen every single one of these movies. That's about how much they register with me. I have no real, emotional, oh, my God, I mean, obviously it was incredibly sad when Paul Walker wasn't there to finish the 7th movie, and they certainly found a nice way, I think, to celebrate that or to honor him a little bit with that, and they honor him a bit in this movie as well. They were just jumping through buildings. They were jumping from one building to another. There's so much stuff in here that you just you just can't believe what you're seeing. You can't really believe the sort of physical accuracy of what you're seeing. That's definitely looked like something out of Captain America right there. These guys had they had sort of falcon wings and they land on a car. There's so much stuff in this movie that doesn't sort of adhere to the laws of physics. And that sort of works, that's the plot too, and the dialogue and the script. But everybody is so cool and so badass and so capable, and they're obviously having a good time, that it's hard not to be smiling. You're smiling through this. I wasn't laughing. I felt like a lot of the lines of dialogue really didn't connect and didn't make me laugh out loud, didn't really hit. And I think that part of it is that unless you sort of came up with this franchise and you know these characters inside and out and you love them and there's an emotional kind of anchor to what you're watching, the sort of flat and vapid kind of discourse that they have between each of these characters just doesn't really elevate. It doesn't really make you feel much of anything other than, oh my God, this is silly. This is silly. Okay, this is crazy. Look at all of this money that's being spent. And, sometimes movies are good for that. And I had a pretty good time. Now, this was, interestingly enough, this was the very first Fast and the Furious movie that Johnny Millennium, the Happy Console Gamer, had seen. And he went with, I think, an air of incredulity. Is that a word? Or he sort of had that overcome him as he was watching this thing. And he was just like, oh my, come on, that can't happen. That's not, come on. He couldn't believe how epic scaled and how silly and how crazy everything got in this thing. But somehow each one of these drivers, no matter how many times their cars are destroyed by, giant battering balls, or they're being chased by nuclear submarines, or, machine gunned like crazy, they could always get away driving. A car basically saved almost every single situation in this movie. And, it's crazy. You can kind of see that this Fast and the Furious team, if they keep going, there's no way they can't go into outer space. Like, that's the inevitable sort of conclusion. Or maybe it's like this is the next generation of Fast and the Furious as we populate another planet with these super race car drivers, and they're going to go out in space and have some kind of moonraker battles and stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's loaded with lots of spy and high-tech imagery. There's lots of Prison Break type elements, and we get to see Jason Statham kick some serious ass. There's some surprise cameos from characters and actors that you've seen in previous movies that do make a return. I am a huge fan, I have to admit, of Michelle Rodriguez. I think she's a fantastic performer. I think she does play a lot of that same sort of tough girl role in everything that she's in, but I think she's a magnetic, charismatic person on screen, so I always like seeing her. Ludacris has some okay lines. Charlize Theron, I think, was enjoying herself with this. The Rock is always solid. I mean, like literally, he's a brick wall, but he's also pretty solid on screen. He's fun to watch. Like the movie throws everything at you. It's like pyrotechnics with the stunts and pyrotechnics with the casting choices. It's almost like there used to be what the hell, the Gumball Rally movies. When I was a kid, they used to make these Gumball Rally movies, and they threw all kinds of celebrities, and then they would get into this car chase across America, and like Jackie Chan would show up all of a sudden. It kind of feels like that, but with a real budget and with bigger than James Bond budget kind of thing. And then every once in a while we go to Cuba and people are wearing thongs and stuff. There's my review for every once in a while we go to Cuba and people are wearing thongs. And there's nuclear subs. It's a crazy movie. Did I love it? No. Did I hate it? No. Do I remember any of it? No. No, I mean, even like I'm watching the trailer, I'm forgetting the trailer as I'm watching the trailer. It's all just, it's like a pastiche of different scenes from different action movies and different genres. And it's like, if it looked underlined cool, let's stick it in this movie. Okay. But yeah, you kind of, I don't know. I would love to hear. Actually, I'm going to pause this footage right now, and I'd love to hear from viewers that check this out and what they thought of Fast 8. Fred Wicks says, "Turn brain off, suspend all beliefs, forget all laws of physics and gravity." Yep. I think he's right there with me. Outer space. Hey Jordan, how you doing? Good to see you. Fast and Furious meets Call of Duty. Yeah, that's kind of it. You can kind of see that they could mix up these hyperworlds, right? Like it feels, that's a terrible image to end on. Let's see if I can get Michelle Rodriguez's eyes again. Oh, there we go. Okay, let's stop on that. Crazy Winter Soldier type vibe out of that. You could kind of see like, they're so crazy and silly that you could kind of mix G.I. Joe, Transformers, and Fast and the Furious. And I don't, is it the same studio that has all those? No, I think Paramount has Transformers and G.I. Joe. But literally, it's like one of those puzzles where you can just, the image doesn't really kind of make sense, but you slide the pieces in and then it all sort of clicks in together. Each one of those things is like, each one of these franchises is like one of those puzzles which kind of works as its own almost makes sense image, and then if you slap it all together, it would make this meta thing that would kind of work. I feel like there's an inevitability to this thing blending with something else. Universal does the Bourne movies, I think. Could you imagine Jason Bourne in the Fast and Furious world? I actually can, because they can throw anything at this. Yeah, I honestly can't believe we're at Fast and the Furious 8. I can't believe it. I can't believe I went and saw that movie, and more are coming, like we're in the back end of the final trilogy or something like that. It is always a wait for video thing for me. That's Fred again. Leighton JT said, "I had the choice of The Circle or this. I chose The Circle. I apologize, or I feel bad for you, Leighton. I heard The Circle was awful." How was The Circle? I was supposed to go to I couldn't get to that critic screening, but I heard it was terrible. Fast has always been brains off. That's what Tech Therapist has said. Fast has always been brains off. Just roll with it. Over the top popcorn time. And you're right, Tech Therapist. But I can't recall the plot of any one of the movies. I can recall some stunts that are kind of cool. but I don't know what the hell happens in any of them. I mean, I think in the first couple they were racing, and recently they've been stopping wars and like stopping nuclear weapons from going off. How did that happen? It's insane. Okay. Hey there, brother. Nocturnal Toothbrush. I don't know if I've ever seen Nocturnal Toothbrush in here before. How you doing? We've just been talking about Fast 8, so if you've seen the movie, you know what it's all about. It's kind of crazy. There's a plot, question mark, from Taz. The evolution of craziness and disbelief from movie to movie reminds me of the Saints Row franchise. Bingo! That's absolutely a perfect connection. That's an amazing concept. And, you know, quite frankly, it's like, you know, we've seen some Fast and Furious kind of car packs and things like that, and maybe some cheeseball mini games or mobile games. But yeah, these characters are what you really care about, right? Like they kind of roll in some new sweet supercars and muscle cars in every movie, but you know, that scene of their eyes going, whoa, look at these cars. You could just replace each one of those from any movie. I mean, the cars are beautiful, don't get me wrong, but it's the people that I think, and mostly it's the actors that we kind of really care about. So why haven't they really been used, especially if they're jumping up on cars like the Winter Soldier and you know, flying like the Falcon into the backs of planes and stuff right now? Why haven't we used those characters in some better types of games? Like, why not have those characters in a Saints Row type of experience? That would be perfect. There's a plot. Yeah, the treatment of them as military unit is just really bizarre, Mr. Brockarock. Yeah, it's a bizarre franchise. It will never go away. I'm very curious how these actors are recast and, you know, what the next generation of Fast and Furious people will look like. But yeah, they're basically a super team, dysfunctional, but highly elite drivers, and now super spy / shadow warrior type people. It's crazy. Okay, let's talk about a totally different type of dysfunctional and elite team. Let's talk about Trainspotting 2. All right, we're going to roll on this footage for a little while. This is a crazy sequel, because who would have thought that this would ever get made? I mean, first of all, they're all heroin addicts in the first movie, spoiler alert, and you feel like, you know, Ewan McGregor's character, Danny, I think his name is, got away and got out of that world and escaped basically by ripping off his buddies, and you feel like at the end of that first film is like maybe he's going to live, but everybody else is not going to do so well, you know? And so we have Sick Boy there, who's Sherlock on the other Sherlock show. Oh, man, I'm forgetting this guy's name. Bigby, who is the psychotic who went to prison. And then we have Spud, who is just this hapless, you know, heart of gold addict that got kind of sort of brought through the ringer with these guys, and has some really, really dark thoughts. And so what's happened here is 20 years have passed. Oh, there might be some boobies in the background. Apologies if anybody's offended by that. The movie is very mature, and it deals with some heavy, mature types of themes, because this is, you know, kind of these 40-somethings reconciling some of their choices when they were young men, and dealing with the darkness of addiction, and sort of facing their demons and facing themselves, and having to kind of you know, go back and try to see if they can live, you know, see if they can live past what defined them. And so much of what defined them was really, really hurting them or killing them back in the original film in Trainspotting 1, which was a transcendent film. It was such an incredible. I got this off of somewhere. You can. I don't even know where I got this. Some trailer site. But they were so affected, and it was such an effective movie. It really kind of shocked the world. There were just some horrible, horrifying scenes of jumping into toilets, and people just got super sick and gross, and there was so much squalor and depravity. And it was dark, but it was also humane and funny, and revolutionary, and Danny Boyle, who was the director then and now again, is just such an unbelievable visualist and just an incredible director. He knows how to do a ton with not a lot of resources. Of course, he did 28 Days Later and Slumdog Millionaire and lots of other great movies. He's a fantastic filmmaker. And it's just awesome that he and I believe the writer was involved again with this movie, but all of the actors got back together again. And obviously, Ewan McGregor is just this massive global movie star, and I think he's had a great career already. But I think he's destined right now. And choices like this, he's not only directing, he's playing twins on Fargo right now. There's a lot of buzz that he's going to be coming back as Obi-Wan, but he really stands out as this larger than life force in this movie. But I love the fact that he just got back together with his mates and re-explored all of this stuff. And there is a lot of generous screen time for every one of these character actors, and also Edinburgh. And I saw this with my wife, and I think there were a couple things about this. Obviously, like, my wife and I have been together for 26 years, so we've gone through a lot of life together. And we saw this in a movie theater called The Park in Vancouver, which is in a neighborhood that we used to actually live in about 20 years ago. And we might have seen the original Trainspotting while we were living in that neighborhood. I don't think we saw it at that theater. But it was a lot of, you're looking at these actors who have all aged. They're giving performances of characters that have aged and gone through hell. And it was just so eloquent and elegantly put together. There's some like brutal kind of stuff that happens, and people being just vicious to each other. But there's also a lot of tenderness and a lot of love and a lot of support and some great kind of words of encouragement for people that are sort of facing darkness and facing their demons. And famous faces and familiar faces kind of pop up. But it's also interesting for us to see this film because since my wife and I saw the original movie, we have gone to Edinburgh, mostly just a vacation, just to have a good time. And I've shot some of the rundowns and stuff from there, but we've fallen in love with that city and we've gotten to know it a little bit. And so to see the movie, and it was actually they were shooting in Edinburgh when we were there. And, it was exciting to hear that all of these actors and this story was being sort of captured as we were there. But it's an amazing city. It's so much a part of why this movie looks the way it does and feels the way that it does. There are some fantastic sequences in this. It's not as shocking, and I don't know if you can ever do, it's just like The Force Awakens, I don't know if you can ever do a movie that you kind of go back to kind of reconnect with characters and actors that we haven't seen for a long time. I don't know if that sort of circle back can ever be as shocking and innately gratifying as that original was. But it is marvelous to kind of reflect on the resiliency of the life spirit, and that's kind of what Trainspotting 2 is, because these are characters that really should have been dead, like they really they got hammered, they chose very poorly. And some of the characters, spoiler alert, go through some really, really dark stuff in the very first movie. So I fully recommend you see the first film. It's an iconic classic at this point. And the sequel brought up, and Johnny Millennium, who also saw this as well, and we saw it independently, but he brought up a lot of moments of melancholy and feeling a little sad about all of this, because you reflect of the passage of time when you're watching this movie as well. Not just because you're seeing these actors that were young, and there are flashback sequences, and everybody just looks like little kids, and now they're kind of wrinkly and they're beaten down and they're talking about middle age, and they have a lot of. They're broken. They're broken, or they're fractured, or they have cracks in their seams, and you see a lot of that in this movie, and you see that there, and it's reflected in you, and you think about all of the choices that you have made in 20 years, and it's an amazing gift, but it's kind of a painful gift to kind of think about how 20 years just goes by like that. And all of the stuff that does occur in that time, but it's we rarely get to see the same actors reconvene after that length of time. It's a very special thing. Sorry, I'm going to take a swig of this. But as a standalone experience, I feel like you'd be doing yourself an immense disservice if you ever did see this movie without at least seeing the first movie. And I think you benefit so much, and we didn't do this, and I regret it. You would benefit so much seeing T2 or Trainspotting 2 immediately after you watch the very first one. I guess the other movies that this kind of reminds me of are those before movies that Richard Linklater does with Ethan Hawke. Where the couple that go around Europe and have these long discussions, and they sort of check in at various points in their life. It's very fascinating, like time is such a tricky thing to play with. Or hell, man, I mean, even the Fast and Furious movies, those guys have been making those movies now for 10 years or more already. But it's a tricky thing to talk about the malleability and the way that time stretches out in life in the confines of a 2-hour film. So it's remarkable. There's almost a documentary kind of vibe to the ability to go back into these characters' lives like this. But I can tell you, Danny Boyle hasn't lost his edge or his touch. There's some absolutely stunning moments. The city of Edinburgh, there's a lot of squalor. There's a lot of really terrible areas that are showcased in this film, but there are also some beautiful scenic shots where we're running through the Royal Mile and we're up on the mountains looking out across the city. And Edinburgh, if you never have been there, it's such an amazing town. It's you've got these medieval alleys and these long stretches of Gothic streets that lead up to a castle, which is right up on a hill in the middle of the city center. You've got these brand new sleek-looking, stylish, modern buildings, and then you've got these super old classic ones. There's lots of Victorian homes. There's like row homes that were kind of the area where the poor people of Edinburgh used to live, but now it's all being sort of modernized and gentrified. There's a lot of art. There's a lot of culture. It's the city where J.K. Rowling famously would sit in coffee shops and write all of her Harry Potter novels. You'll see a statue of Arthur Conan Doyle and Sherlock Holmes because he was writing the Sherlock Holmes novels there. It's an amazing city, and I was very, very happy to revisit it and also revisit these characters. And I don't know, I can't recommend T2 enough. If I'm going to give it a score, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10, but that comes with a qualifier. You have to see the original Trainspotting before you go and see T2. Okay, what do I think of Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild on Wii U? You sound like me, Jordan. You can't stop thinking about Zelda. The dead baby. Oy, oy, oy. Fred, you're spoiling stuff in the chat. Toilet scene. Leighton JT. Yes, some really, really dark stuff. Arturo Sagastume. How do you say that? Sagastume? Arturo Sagastume, I'm going to say. Hey, guys, I just wanted to let you know that I am live streaming GTA 5. Oh, this guy's spamming. Brutal. Okay. I don't have any moderators in here, but I'm getting rid of this guy. Can I get rid of him? Block. Boom. Fred, I'm going to make you a moderator. Anybody spams, they got to go, right? Okay, cool. You can moderate right now. Open the toy. Yes, I do have toys. Oh, you can see some toys. Okay, all right, okay. Should I open the toy now and then talk about Guardians of the Galaxy? Sure, let's do it. All right, cool. First time I've ever live blocked anybody. That was kind of gratifying. Okay, let's do a quick little live toy break. I got 3 of them. I'm crazy, I know. And these things were not cheap, but they're hard to find and they cost more at Comic-Con. And so what happened here is, you guys know I have the Samurai. I think you can see I have the Samurai, Boba Fett, and Stormtrooper, and Darth Vader. Those are some of my favorite toys from Comic-Con a little bit before, or a few years ago. And a couple streams ago, I don't know if you can see them, I got the Flash and Daredevil. I got the Mezco 112 and the Batman versus Superman Batman. Amazing. these have been some of my favorite toys that I've seen at Comic-Con over the last few years. Now, I got the samurai Star Wars characters, and I love them. And I saw at one of the booths, there were lots and lots of booths of really cool toys, including, new versions of the old classic Kenner line that I used to love back then. Blade Blur, you're the best. Thank you so much. Very busy with life. I hope you are well, and thanks for everything you do for me and Mother. Thank you. Much love right back to you, Blade Blur. Anyways, at Star Wars Celebration, and it really truly was a celebration, I saw these sleek figures. Now, these are from, what's the name of the company again? It's, I forget, and it's all in Japanese. Oh, I forget. Well, they're manga realizations. Well, they're Bandai. Oh, Tamashii Nations. I think you can see that right there. So what I didn't do is I didn't cut the tape. I don't want to wreck the boxes, guys. Oh, I should have cut the tape. I should have cut the tape before I did this. Let's see, maybe I can use this. I have a Destiny 2 pin. That's one of the other cool things that has come in recently. I got a Cade figure, which is pretty rad right there. There's a Destiny 2 event that's coming up in the middle of May, and I'll be checking that out, getting a chance to play the game on May 18th, and you'll be hearing all about that very soon. Oh, okay, this will work. Great. Okay, so thank you, Destiny 2, for the pin. That's going to allow me to open up my figures. These things have been sitting on here for a couple weeks, too, and every day when I've been coming in, it's just like, I want to open those! So thank you for allowing me to have a stream that allows me to open them. So this is the Red Guard, one of the characters that you would see on the Empire side behind... I'm not going to take stuff out of the box right now because it'll take too long, but look at how sleek that is. I just love all of the detail, all of the sort of samurai armor and logos and insignias and stuff like that. And I think you can... Oh, stuff's going to fall out. I think you can see they have rounded shoes, and, it's all been incredibly embellished and so sleek. Love it. Okay, so that's that one. Try not to lose the sword down there. And I'll open up Spider-Man, Samurai Spider-Man. This is kind of a weird direction, but I think at this point in my toy collecting life, right, the Royal Guard for the Emperor, that's right. And at this point in my toy collecting life, because I've been collecting toys for a long time, and I have lots of really cool ones, I'm trying to find stuff that isn't just a redo of a toy that I bought ages ago that's better now, that's improved, Like I have some of the, these things are all going to flip and fly out. I have some of maybe Sideshow's first 12-inch lines, or it might have been Hasbro or Kenner or something like that. I've got some classic Star Wars stuff that is great, but obviously not as good as what the Hot Toys stuff is right now. But I can't just keep buying and rebuying the same types of characters, so that's why I look for unique stuff like the Mezco 112, which is kind of like the old Mego lines from when I was growing up, but done better, or like some cool 6-inch characters with some cloth fabric costumes. But here's the Samurai Spider-Man without dropping all of the fingers and everything like that. Oh boy, this is going to be tough to show off. Okay, maybe I will take him out. There we go. Oh, I can get him out. Okay. So they're not clamped in or anything like that. Look at how rad that is. That is just amazing, right? Samurai armor all over him. He's got a red sword, I believe. Yes, or a red sheath for his sword. Very sleek. So these will be going up on the shelf for sure. I think it's time for me to do a little bit of curation up here and take out some of the toys I want to display. Take out some of the toys that can go sort of back into the archive and pop out some of the newer stuff. Give stuff a little bit more space so you can see everything behind me. Because I do have some pretty rad figures and some pretty awesome toys, and I have to give a special shout out to my wife who puts up with me and my toy addiction. But I love them. I always have. I've loved them since I was a little kid. I've always just been addicted to the collection of action figures, and I don't know. I guess it's that. You know, in a lot of ways, it's very connected to my adoration of video games and movies and stuff. You know, it's like you can create little scenes with these characters. You know, there's a physicalization to it. When I was a kid, we used to actually do little stop motion shoots, and we'd take a lot of camera pictures. It was just film back then, but we'd take a lot of you know, stills of our figures in our cars, and we'd do little flip book you know, stop motion movies with the exposed when it was all brought back to us as photos. We would do these little stop motion flip books. This is amazing. This is the Iron Man samurai, the red and gold Iron Man armor. So incredible. You know, I would love them to do a Tamashii Nations Batman. That would be sick. So I'll try to put all the samurais together, even though they're, you know, from different universes. I love these figures. Love them. Okay. All right. I'm going to put these guys back over there. I have a couple of loot crate things too, which I haven't opened. I've been traveling, so let's see what I can do here. I'll open up a couple of these things here too. Let's see what's come in. This is a loot gaming one. I think there's some Guardian stuff. Oh, okay, this one's gaming. So what do we got here? I don't know anything. I don't know any of the stuff that's in here. So what do we have? Oh, an Injustice 2 shirt. That's pretty cool. Nice. Right? You might see that on the old show very soon. We've got Loot Crate Halo icons shooting at each other. Super deformed stuff. I won't open that right now. Nice. I love these little things. This is an Overwatch Pharah. This is actually the character that I like the most in the game, at least right now. I like her rocket launcher. So that's pretty cool. That's the, there's a couple other things in there, but that's the Loot Crate Gaming. Let's see what we got over here. This is clothing, and I gotta tell you something. Thank you, Loot Crate, by the way. It's amazing to receive all of this stuff, but I actually had to take over another shelf in our cupboard, in our closet, because I was getting so many socks from Loot Crate, and the socks are what I've been digging the most, because you know, it's tough to get excited about buying socks, but receiving socks that have Wolverine on them, it's pretty darn cool. And so now I've got a crazy collection. These have Godzilla on them. Now I've got a crazy collection of socks, so I actually needed to basically commandeer another drawer so I could put all of that stuff in. Let's see. Ooh, a Legend of Zelda shirt. Nice. Look at that. Breath of the Wild baseball shirt. Love it. Loot Crate's been getting better and better, man. Like, when they first started sending these things, especially the clothing, I wasn't that crazy about, but recently they've been sending some really cool shirts. Here's a Predator. Oh, that's pretty rad. Here's a Predator shirt. That looks dope. I dig it. Okay. And what's this? A 3-in-1 scarf. Oh, it's got Belle Disney stuff. Okay. And some underwear. I haven't gotten into these crazy Ren and like the underwear. This one's Ren and Stimpy underwear. I haven't. That seems a little too personal with the sending of the underwear. I appreciate that they're here. That's cool, but I haven't yet worn any Loot Crate underwear. Oh my God! I didn't know we got this. This is amazing. This is classic Tron on a T-shirt. That is dope. Instantly going to the top of the T-shirt pile. Thank you, Loot Crate. That is amazing. What do we have here? I think this is a mouse pad. Oh, cool. A Prey mouse pad. Are you guys excited about Prey? I know there's a free demo out there. I haven't had time to check it out. I had a good conversation with Raphael. Hey, the Wren. Thank you. The Gaming Wives. You're the real special edition. Thank you so much. You're a very sweet person. Thank you. And then I have another one of these little minifigs. This is the electric purple tracer. Very cool. Okay. And what is this? A Mass Effect Andromeda LED lamp. I haven't gone back to Mass Effect Andromeda since I streamed it and talked about it. What does this thing look like? But it was, I clicked on it. I have Persona. Persona 5 is my next thing. Oh, that's pretty cool. It's like a little Pathfinder. You can't, I don't think you can read that. Pathfinder. So that'll glow when I plug that in. Okay. Wow. Okay, so I think that's the loot, that the sort of current state of the loot that I've received over the last month or so from travels and also from our friends at Loot Crate. Thank you so much for all of that stuff. But let's get back to talking about Guardians of the Galaxy. I just watched the first film today again, and I don't think I've watched it since the Blu-ray came out, and I think last year it came out. And I have a much better television. I've talked a little bit about it. I should do a Vic's basement on the setup that I have now, because it's amazing for watching movies on. I've just been blown away. It's an LG E6. It's 55-inch. It's an OLED 4K thing. And I've said this before, but I got into the 4Ks because of the Xbox One S and the PlayStation 4 Pro. The day the Pro came out and I hooked it up to my 1080p TV, it was like, okay, this is cool. I can't tell the difference at all. I don't know why this is. I had to go out and get a 4K to see what the hell the story was. Eventually, I bought one and returned it, but eventually I got this LG OLED. And one of the cool things that it does, I think I've talked about this a little bit, is that it has it's super low pixel density or super high pixel density. So, obviously it can display 4K imagery. The blacks are beautiful on it. And I've got a couple of 4K Blu-rays, and I played a lot of 4K games, and it's great. But the other great thing that it does, it's got 3D built in, and I've never cared about 3D. I've railed against it in almost every form. But 3D on this television is really freaking good. I watched Doctor Strange in 3D the other day on it. Now, I'm saying all that, but that's more about the setup that I have. I've got a great Denon receiver, which is all about making it simple to go to 4K imagery and to have HDR on every single HDMI input and everything. Very happy with my setup. I've had lots of great audio-visual tech to play games on and watch movies on, but nothing as good as what I've got currently. And to watch this movie on that setup, even though I just watched a straight 2D Blu-ray, because Disney hasn't got into 4K Blu-rays yet with their movies, I was blown away by the visuals of this movie. It was great, and it's a couple of years old, and the technology increases so quickly. But the space scenes are so beautiful, so filled with color. They're so kinetic. There's so much camera wizardry and CG wizardry moving from vehicle to vehicle, and I love the shots of Star-Lord kind of looking out of the Milano, and he's in a space battle, and his ship's flying all over the place, but you feel connected to it, and they did an amazing job with that. I don't think they did an incredible job with the helmet sort of digitally, going off of them. There's something about these pieces of tech that are attached to the faces, and I would say this about Iron Man's armor as well. Like, they just sort of disappear into nothing, and it makes them look kind of, a little more fake than they should. I feel like they should disappear into some kind of recognizable object, so it doesn't just vaporize. It should, sort of digitize off of the person's face or something like that, and then you could still see the remnants. I guess you can, because Star-Lord's got this thing around his ear for the whole thing, and I guess that's what it comes out of. But I just looked at that as sort of a communication piece. But anyways, the movie itself, and it's really just the introduction of these characters, is very funny and very refreshing and fun as hell, and filled with a sense of sass and a sense of fun about itself and poking fun at itself, and just really smart and self-aware, and I was really, really entertained. I wasn't picking it apart. I find myself when I go to, and I felt this way about Ant-Man. I felt this way, I think, about Doctor Strange, although less so because that was just one visual stimulant to another. I, I kind of picked them apart as if, how do they stack up to my favorite comic book movies, and how kind of close to comic book lore are these things, and are we just going to be another, like, the world is crashing down around us kind of superhero tale where it's just epic special effects at the end, or are we actually going to, get into these characters and dig them? And I felt like Guardians, when I saw it in the theater for the first time, mostly delivered that, but I wasn't that big of a fan of Ronan, and I felt that there was some kind of, sort of mixed messaging and kind of a messy kind of story around Thanos' daughters, Nebula and Gamora, and how they sort of got connected with Ronan, and why Ronan would want to fight against Thanos, and who some of these characters were and how they kind of fit into the mythology. There was just a lot of stuff thrown at us, and I felt like the villain part of it, the big bad, was kind of an afterthought compared to how much time we got to spend with Groot and Rocket and Drax. And I thought that was kind of a missed opportunity. And I left kind of critiquing it and sort of saying, okay, well, it felt like there were chunks missing. And I still kind of feel that way. I feel like these are all individually such powerful characters that the enemy that we face in this thing, this guy, this Ronan guy, should be more than just somebody that will punch you to death, Like, there should be more than just he has a hammer that has one of the crystals in it, the Infinity Stones, and he's super powerful and can just... I felt like that was still a missed opportunity, but I forgave its sins a lot more this on this repeat viewing. I could just sort of soak it up. Maybe it's because all of these Guardian characters have been around our pop culture a lot more since then, and it's less about, like, who are these people? It's all new to me because I knew nothing about the Guardians of the Galaxy before I saw it on screen for the first time. And it is a lot of information to kind of digest and have an emotional feeling about, because you're really just going character, all the way through the movie. And that includes all of the Nova Corps characters and Yondu and his Ravagers and all that stuff. There are so many introductions in this movie that it kind of, and the Collector, for Christ's sake, this time I could clearly see Howard the Duck behind him as well. There's just so much, like, here's our universe. Here are all the pieces. And I feel like now that we've had this film for a while, and I've got the Milano Lego set, and we've seen them in popular culture. I've read some of the books now, and now I've played the Telltale game. They've been around us a little bit more. So to see the movie again, it's really a work of. It's a sensational accomplishment. It's a great movie. It's still not my favorite of the Marvel superhero films, but it's really damn good, and it is another underlying testament to how incredible this achievement has been. This cinematic universe that Marvel has crafted for us has been so goddamn entertaining from film to film to film. It blows me away. Somehow they get these ingredients together and they are able to build these movies that really transport us and make us have a great time. And I felt that same way about Ant-Man. I felt like Ant-Man was trying so hard when I saw it in the theater the first time, and not all of the jokes were landing the way that I wanted them to, and the action wasn't working as well as I wanted it to. But then I saw it again, and I was really taken aback by what was accomplished. And I think that's the thing with the Marvel films, is that they compete against each other, and they're coming out so fast and furious, no pun intended, but they keep coming out with so many of these things. We don't really have a chance to kind of let them be special now, right? They're just like, boom, okay, we got this coming and this coming and this coming, and it becomes increasingly more difficult to kind of really stack them up against each other and fairly judge them. And that's why it was cool to go back to this. And you know what was also cool is that in the I didn't watch all of the making of stuff. I want to, because I want to see a lot more of the on-set sort of camaraderie and the stories and stuff. But one of the things that they do have on the Blu-ray, obviously, is they show off the Marvel Universe, and they have these little anecdote interview pieces with the various actors, including a very young Robert Downey Jr. comparatively, talking about accepting the Iron Man role, the Tony Stark role. And God, man, what a journey. What a journey, you know, and in the next couple of years, we all know, like, the arc is going to kind of come to a close, and some of these actors are going to sort of say, okay, that's it, I'm out, you know. Like we just saw that with Hugh Jackman and Logan. But this film is very special. It's very cool. I think it exists more as a funky sci-fi adventure than a true sort of Marvel superhero type thing. Certainly each of these actors or each of these characters kind of could be its own superhero. But it's more about the spacefaring and the planets, the quirky green skinned characters. I love the shameless sort of connection to the cheesy roots of science fiction that this movie has. Like, it wouldn't be incongruous or difficult to see that some of these same painted people that are in the background of this movie could also have been in an Ed Wood science fiction film. And I love that it shamelessly connects itself to that kind of cheeseballness. You know, they even have Lloyd Kaufman from Troma as one of the he's one of the prisoners, and he's yelling in one of the scenes in the background. And that's James Gunn kind of playing to the director, playing to his roots in avant-garde and seat of your pants kind of filmmaking. And I love all that. I mean, I think that's one of the sort of off-kilter senses of charm that this movie delivers, and it's fun to kind of revisit. And that was rad, because I wanted to kind of get into this headspace again. I wanted to remember these characters. I wanted to see this flick again with fresh eyes, and I was smiling and laughing, and I was entertained. I think David Bautista is, Groot is awesome. The snark and the snap of Rocket is charming as hell. I love that he gets all choked up, that people keep calling him a vermin or rodent or whatever. But Bautista's Drax is so freaking hilarious. His inability to sense sarcasm, and he just takes every statement at sort of face level, and the way that he delivers his lines. God, the guy is a great choice. He's a great actor for that role, you know? Like, he is obviously physically embodying that character so well, but really light touch, really perfect reads on the lines, you know, so that you fall in love with this guy, this kind of stoic person of stone, and he that's also tragically kind of affected by the universe around him. And you kind of care about him, you know, even though he would seem to be just the most straightforward, straight-ahead kind of big monster guy with blades kind of guy that you would add. But Bautista lifts this to another level. Just fantastic. Really, really, really love that character. And I've heard that, obviously, that Baby Groot is going to steal every scene in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. But what's made me laugh the most in the trailers that I've seen for the sequel is the interplay between Chris Pratt and David Bautista. I can't wait to see that. Cannot wait. So I see Guardians 2 tomorrow, and I had a ton of fun jumping into Guardians of the Galaxy 1 today. That was super cool. And I also got to play a little bit of the God, it was 2014. It's been so long. Oh my God. Yeah, I'm very excited to see the sequel. But I also got to play the Guardians of the Galaxy Telltale game, and it's one of their standard adventure titles. And you can watch the stream there. I didn't load any video up behind me. It's a little weird to have them slow down so much in this universe, in the Guardians of the Galaxy universe, because so much of what we have seen and what I've flipped through in the pages of the books that I've read has been pretty fast, pretty sort of forward-driven, and we are jumping from scene to scene and crazy moment to crazy moment. But in the game, you kind of have to put on your detective monocle and walk around and sort of look around, just like in most of the point-and-click adventures. I've only played about an hour of the game so far, so I'm nowhere near being able to review it. But I will say that it feels weird to kind of slow yourself down to kind of take in the environment and sort of, think your way through the game. Because so much of, I think, what makes Guardians of the Galaxy successful is that they react and then they have to react again. There's consequence to their reaction, and then they're just kind of, they're hightailing it through their choices. And the adventure sort of genre doesn't really allow for that so much. But there was a cool action sequence which I did stream, which I thought was pretty fun, was fighting Thanos relatively early on in the very first episode. So I definitely will finish that first episode, and if I like it, I will continue on, and maybe I will stream some more. But I got to tell you, this is a franchise that definitely, now that Marvel is, hell-bent on getting into the console space. We've got the Spider-Man game coming from Insomniac. We've got the Avengers game coming from Crystal Dynamics. I really hope, I would love, an awesome Guardians of the Galaxy, adventure, like action-adventure kind of tale where you could explore different parts of the galaxy and go to all these different planets and run around in real time. I think they could even do something Battlefront-esque and make it kind of a first-person shooter with some other kinds of cool mechanics and stuff like that. This is a wonderful franchise. It really is, and I applaud Marvel for saying, look, we can take this thing that really not that many people know, this infinitesimally small group of people know, these comic diehards, and we're going to blow it up into a household name. And I think they've successfully accomplished that, So let's see. Fingers are crossed that the sequel is as good or better than the first one. But they could do a hell of a lot with this franchise. And I would love to be able to play some more Twitchy-style games which were make you feel, like you're sort of thinking on your feet, like crazy stuff is happening from second to second. But let me quickly get back into the chat right now and see if anybody's got a question or a comment or any kind of thoughts here. I've got one from Al Kratz. Vic, have you bought any of the Marvel Legends action figures? I came so close to buying the 12-inch Spider-Man, Iron Man, and Captain America that they had at Universal at the theme park there, because they have that big Marvel space, which is still amazing. They have like a Stan Lee alley, and they've got the Spider-Man ride, which is fantastic. It's still so fun, even though it's been around for so long. The Hulk roller coaster. But they also have the Marvel theme shops, and they had all of the Legends figures. I haven't got them. They're in my my Amazon cart, but I have 12-inch figures of a lot of those characters, so I feel like my shelf space is full, and I'm starting to feel a little silly rebuying characters or figures of things that I like. But I'm very impressed with the larger scale Marvel Legends figures. They're fantastic. Especially love the awesome Spider-Man one. A space bounty hunter type of game would be awesome from Sylvian Bisson. I totally agree. Does Lego Dimensions have Guardians of the Galaxy and Sheep We Trust? No, they haven't gotten into the Marvel space because, TT's owned by WB, and they also own DC Comics, so they've been more focused on Lego Batman and the DC universe. They haven't gotten into Marvel. If Lego Dimensions is still moving forward, and I've heard some rumblings that they're phasing it out, that it's, we're going to know very soon. If they don't start talking about what's next for Lego Dimensions at E3 this year, it's possible that they're going to be starting to close down some of the content there. It's just so expensive to get all of those toys lined up with the video game content. So I hope not. I hope that it's still continuing. My daughter and I love that game very much. We play it all the time. And I would love to see Star Wars, and I would love to see Marvel in Lego Dimensions. And that's not out of the realm of possibility, but that's only if TT and WB feel like it's got enough of a user base and people are still playing it. So no, but Guardians were in the, I believe they were in the Lego Marvel Avengers game. I think they were as part of the DLC, if I'm not mistaken. That had tons of characters in it. But I would suspect that we're going to see another Marvel Lego game this year, which should be massive. Uh, I prefer the dedicated movie comedy games over Dimensions. Let the Star Wars, another movie. Yeah, one of the things that might happen if Lego Dimensions is being phased out is that TT will double down on the traditional Lego model and give us bigger and badder and more sophisticated Lego experiences. I think the Force Awakens game was a fantastic game, and I think they kind of tipped their hat to how far they could go with it. I don't know if you guys played that, but some of the space battle stuff was fantastic and super well designed. It was a very elegant game, loaded with content. Could still have been bigger. Could still have included more from the Star Wars world and fiction, but it kind of showcased a bunch of new systems in the Lego space, and if they're moving off of Dimensions and moving resources away from Dimensions, then I think they could probably pivot and build us some really fantastic things. Like maybe there is even a Lego Guardians of the Galaxy game coming, which would be awesome. You don't like the 12-inch Marvel Legends. Okay. I think Nintendo nailed, that's from Allkratz. Killing Winter, I think Nintendo nailed games to life toys. Everyone loves Amiibo because they work with multiple games. Yes, I agree with that, but I do wish that you could actually play as the Amiibo characters in multiple games. Um, I know this would be very difficult to play, but uh, let's say in Mario Kart and you've got the Little Mac amiibo, it would be amazing if you could put the Little Mac amiibo onto Mario Kart and poof, you've got the Little Mac cart and Little Mac is in the game. Not just the outfit for your Mii, but the actual character that isn't in there otherwise. But obviously that's the whole bunch of coding, and there are availability issues and all kinds of stuff in there. Cut the action figure in half so it's just 6 inch. In sheep we trust. Spider-Man. Spider-Man's here, everybody. Woo! I love the Fate of the Furious, but it wasn't better than Furious 7. Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I couldn't really tell the two movies apart. I think if you cornered me and asked me to explain the plot or what was better or worse about each of those, I'd be very hard-pressed. But I would say equally entertaining, and I can absolutely understand why they're so fun and popular for so many people. Fred Wicks, not only are you the moderator, but you're also an incredibly generous soul. Thank you. You're very nice. Let's see what we got here. Guardians rule. Batman was in Captain America Civil War, but they called him Bat Panther. That's in Sheep We Trust. Mixing universes in Sheep We Trust. Drax is amazing. Yes. Imagine Rocket and Iron Man together the first time. What does Robert Downey Jr. say? Killing Winter Games posing a very good question. Rocket and Iron Man together. What does Robert Downey Jr. say? Can I have one? I think the same thing that he said when he saw Black Widow, at least in the trailer. I think he would be enamored with Rocket, and certainly want some of his weaponry. Mr. Brockarock, picking up on my cues around Ant-Man, I feel he was more of an interesting hero and story. He liked Ant-Man. I really liked Ant-Man. One of the things, I didn't say that in my little story there, was that I watched the movie on a plane, I think the second or third time, and it was funny that transposing this movie about a miniature superhero to a miniature screen made it just elevated my estimation. I just really, really appreciated the sort of entertainment value of Ant-Man. And I'm super psyched that they're making a sequel now with the Wasp, with Evangeline Lilly in there. And I can't believe how, I'm just so proud of her. I can't believe she's a superhero now. It's so freaking cool. So I can't wait to see that movie. And of course, I'm a huge Paul Rudd fan. I love seeing Marissa make Paul Rudd blush when we were interviewing all the actors on the Avengers line a couple of years ago. That was super fun. Howard the Duck. I just can't wait for the sequel. And Sheep We Trust is just bringing up all kinds of weird and esoteric Marvel superheroes here. Assassin's Creed was a terrible video game movie. Spider-Man, right on the money with that. Living in the UK, talking. Oh, Taz and Tech Therapist are talking to each other. We got some stuff about 3D. And guys are talking about your home video setups and stuff like that. Yeah, geez, we've gone over a lot of stuff in here. From Lost to Marvel, it's pretty awesome. And people are talking about Smash Brothers. The chat always devolves into people talking about Smash Brothers. Isn't that the way? All right, you guys. I think we covered enough topics for today. The Red Guard and I are going to call this one for the afternoon, but we will be back with a review of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. And also, yes, we did hear about the announcement of the next Darksiders game. It's in our rundown today, Mr. Brock Rock, so make sure you watch that. Yeah, we'll be back with the review of Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I'll probably be streaming a little bit more of the game. I've got some other game reviews that I'm percolating on and some more cool announcements, so stay tuned for all of that. And Spencer, holy crap, thank you so much. That's amazing. Thank you, Spencer O. That's very, very generous. I appreciate all of you guys. Thank you. I would like to be streaming live like this a lot more often. It is just a question of trying to get as many of these little pieces done as we possibly can. But we are working hard. We're building lots of cool stuff. And stay tuned. A lot more to come. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for coming to our basement. And I'm going to start saying Stitcher at the end again, and you'll know why very soon.